Tyson owes me a t-shirt commercial.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel, then you're not connected to the #1 online educational resource for pickleball. Make sure you subscribe so you stay on top of everything pickleball.
Let me know if this story sounds familiar to you. You're up at the no volley zone or up at the kitchen and you're dinking, and all of a sudden, oops, get one high, get slammed with that ball. No one likes that. So today we're going to talk about how to avoid those pop-ups. I'm going to give you 3 tips on how to avoid pop-ups when you're up at the no volley zone dinking, and hopefully keep those balls lower and not get attacked. So let's get into it. First error I want to talk to you about has to do with the backswing. What happens a lot of times when we're dinking up here is we're up here dinking, and instead of dinking with a short backswing motion like this, we start bringing the paddle back. The further we bring the paddle back, the more likely we are to have an error. So what happens is you're dinking like this, and then all of a sudden you bring the paddle back like this, and you try to execute a dink like this. What happens is you accelerate the paddle up to the point of contact with the ball, resulting in a pop-up. I'll show you how that works now. So here I'm taking a real short backswing, and it avoids an error from taking the paddle back too far and then having to come up to the point of contact. As you can see here, as the ball comes, all I'm doing is reaching to the ball and executing my dink. Now these next ones I'm going to start swinging, and you'll see what happens is if I take a backswing, now I have to bring the paddle up to the point of contact, and I don't have as much control anymore. So I start popping them up because I'm bringing the paddle back and then lifting it, and I can't really control the acceleration of the paddle as it comes forward. The other way to avoid pop-ups is to focus on your grip pressure. We talk about grip pressure being from a 1 to a 10. What happens with the grip pressure is if we're dinking and our grip pressure is too tight, so say you have it as a 5 or a 6, what'll happen is your dinks or your shots will go too high or too far. So what you want to do there is just soften up your grip pressure, and that'll help soften up your shots and drop into the kitchen. Let me show you what that looks like. Here what I'm going to do is dink with Tyson a little bit with a tight grip pressure, and you might be able to hear it on the audio. We'll see, but yeah, I'm going to grab the paddle pretty tight as I dink, and you'll see I'm going to use the same motion that I would use later, but you're going to see it come off the paddle differently because my grip is going to be pretty tight. There you go. So all I'm doing here is I'm using a really short backswing, but I have a really tight grip, and you can see that ball just careens off the paddle. The way it just flies off the paddle because my grip is really tight. Now I'll soften the grip and hit the same motion. So I'm doing the same thing. All I've done is I've lightened up my grip pressure, and you can see how the ball just nicely, just softly goes over the net. And all I'm doing there, all I've done, I'm thinking it's the same motion. All I'm doing is changing my grip pressure. Now I go back to the tight grip pressure again because I've gotten a little tense, and I'm hitting the same ball basically, but that ball is really flying off the paddle, and all it is how I'm holding the paddle or gripping the paddle. How tightly I'm gripping the paddle is the only thing that's changing here. So those are flying off, and these are not. Really light. The last tip I want to give you on avoiding pop-ups is to use the full length of the kitchen. So what happens is if you dink cross court, you have a lower center in the net and you have farther to hit. If you try and dink directly across from you, you have a shorter distance that the ball can travel before it gets to your opponent's paddle or strike zone, and you have a higher part of the net, about between 1 inch to 2 inches depending how far over to the side you are. So dinking cross court will generally be easier to avoid popping it up as opposed to going straight across, and I'll show you what that looks like. So here I'm going to dink straight on with Tyson first, and you'll see that my margin there is much smaller before it reaches Tyson's strike zone. So here on this area here, if I'm dinking from here, I have to drop the ball right here really tight to the net in order to avoid Tyson's strike zone. Come up to the line, Tyson. Let me just show him real quick. So if you watch Tyson's strike zone, so Tyson can strike a ball here, he can attack it, and here he can attack it too, right? So if I get the ball a little bit up here, it's going to reach Tyson's strike zone. In order to avoid his strike zone, I have to be really, really tight to the net, which is a really small area, and we'll show you that in a second. So here I'm dinking with Tyson head on, and it's very stressful because I have very little room to work with. Very little room to work with. Before I get it, if I get it a little up like that, then Tyson can attack that ball. That, Tyson can hit it. That, I reset well, then, but I have very little space to work with here when I'm going directly across with Tyson. As soon as I pop it like that, Tyson can attack that ball. So those balls that Tyson can reach and volley, he can decide dink or attack. And I don't want to give him that option. I want to keep them in the kitchen, unattackable. Now let me show you how it looks cross court with Tyson, where I have more room to work with. So here, I have a lot more room that I can work with. And I also using the shorter part, the lower part of the net, like that ball there just hit the net, clipped over the net. If I hit that here, it would have been in the net. So here I'm going cross court with Tyson. I just have a lot more room to work with. So even if I get the ball a little bit high here, like that, right, then I still have some room to work with, and it's just harder for Tyson to attack these balls. So those are the 3 tips on how to help you avoid pop-ups or minimize pop-ups. The first one is watch your backswing, trying to avoid the backswing. The second one is use your grip pressure to adjust the height of the ball as you hit it, or the distance and the height of the ball as you hit it. And the third tip is try and dink cross court rather than head on. Use head on sometimes, but remember that head on has a higher risk of pop-up. So next time you're out there, focus on those 3 tips and they should reduce your pop-ups. Good luck out there. That'll never make the video. That'll be, I have my computer set for auto delete whenever I miss a shot, it auto deletes it. Right? It facial recognition, it goes, uh-oh, Tony screwed up. Let me delete it.